Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on, as we are ready to take off on our next adventure. Introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 31 of Chemology 411. This evening, our main topic is going to be working out and eating healthy, part 2. I am Kim Schultz, and I'm your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley.
Hey, I like how at first it seemed very serious, and the energy came up in the second sentence.
I'm not going to joke. I was about to cough. I was concentrating. I was concentrating. I had to be like talk and breathe at the same time.
Hey, let's do our non-fist bump distance
right
check.
There, got it.
Okay, we were short arms, so we might be within 6 feet, but if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, in the current situation, we're trying to make sure we're 6 feet away at least. Well, and we're thinking, well, if we can't quite fist bump, that's going to get close.
That's close.
So, also, we've been here forever already. I'm going to do that lately. I've been had some pasta.
I know.
Very good. It's very good. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Good
That's
host.
the second time in a row that I've had to cook you dinner.
I don't know about had to, but yeah, a lot of people kind of think of me as a charity.
No,
so.
I'm coming over, but I haven't eaten yet. And then tonight it's like, I haven't eaten yet. I don't know if that, I'm like, oh yeah, as I'm eating my pasta, this is so good. This is really good. And his mouth started watering and it was kind of coming down.
That's pretty good, yeah. All right, time for Tyson's Quick Hits. First Tyson Quick Hit. Wow, I had a weird 3 things in a row. You ever hear that thing where they say things come in threes?
I think I was the one that pointed it out to you.
Oh, before the third thing happened?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
No.
So last time we talked when we did the one societal phenomenon that shall not be named excursion or 2, I had mentioned some weird things that happened, but we wanted to hold off until the regular episode. So I'm at a light to turn left onto a street in the left turn lane, only one. And I'm not in the first spot. I'm thinking probably the third or fourth back. And a truck and a van in front of me just starts backing up. Oh. It's just one of those things where you're like, is this happening right now? And then, it's not like you're
Did you think you were going forward?
Because that can freak you out, like if you're ever next to a bus, right?
Yeah.
You ever been next to a bus and you're like,
whoa.
I didn't think I think I may have thought that for a moment, but then I'm like, he's really, I'm like, he's going to stop. And before I even thought of putting it in reverse.
Right.
Crash. So I got front-ended, which is not something, not a usual, right?
A reverse rear end?
Yep. Well, both of those sound dirty. Let's be honest.
It wasn't, not as dirty as our.
It wasn't near as exciting as it sounds. But the thing is that I was stupid. I know, surprise, and I did it. I did not. I'm like, I was trying to be apologetic on behalf of the dude who hit me. I'm like, well, I'm on the way to work anyway, so maybe just change it. We don't have to call the police. Well, luckily, it ended up being a van, a company van. And so there for a little bit, it's like, my coworker's like, dude, what if they just say, now, why would I back up?
Right.
Even though the guy admitted it and said, oh, man, it's totally my fault. He said, if anybody wanted to bluff that, they say, well, why would I back up into you? Don't you think it's a little bit more likely that the guy ran into my back bumper? But They had a van and they... a camera. And a camera. So... Yeah. A camera, yes, not a van. I already said it was a van. Thank you. And so they went ahead and accepted blame. It's not a lie. Yeah. It's under $1,000, but it's it's just kind of a bummer when that happens. You're like, man, I hope it's not some weird issue. So, quick hit number 2, bacon sizzle. So this is going to lead into the next one. My computer's so old.
Oh, love it.
My computer's so old. How old is it? My computer's so old, sometimes it bacon sizzles. So this happened recently. We've talked about how old my computer is.
We did.
And sometimes it happens, but it hadn't happened recently, where all of a sudden it goes and it just stops. It just stops. I mean, it doesn't go, bleep, bleep, bleep. It doesn't.
It just gives up.
I don't know why I gave the reverse, the vans in the reverse. Clearly, both of these things are traumatic. No, my computer does not give a reverse, beep signal like a truck. What I meant to say is it doesn't, like do one of those things where it seems like it's going to shut down in 20 seconds. It just stops. Black screen. Well, right now, because of the situation, I've been working at home for part days, so it finally was a reason to stop paralysis of analysis for buying a computer.
Right.
So that leads to the next quick hit number 3. And that is that I finally got a computer! I finally got a computer!
It's been 31 episodes and 45 shows.
It's been slow the whole time, man.
And you started before the podcast. It's not like you started when we started this podcast.
We're talking 3 years ago. My sister's like, I'm like, yeah, well, I've been on safe mode with networking for the last 6 weeks. My sister's like, you probably want to get a new computer. I'm like, I don't need to yet. I mean, it's a little inconvenient. But... So anyway, I got one, but it's not a laptop like my old one. It's a desktop. And my scenario at my house is small. It's a small place. So I had to rearrange things. But when you're rearranging things on quick notice, it may not be ideal, right? Especially with the retail places the way they are. So hashtag card table home office. I suppose some people out there can probably identify with that.
I'm sure there's a lot of those.
I actually mentioned that to a few coworkers, and they said, yeah, I've been trying to get mine set up. Somebody else said dining room home office, dining room table home office, or someone. So a lot of people are like that right now because they weren't necessarily remote workers, but they just are right now. And it's like this fine line of, well, are we going to go back soon? And so I don't need to buy new equipment. And is this going to do for now that I sit at this table, as opposed to time to set up the office?
Right.
So yeah, card table home office. But actually, I really like the way it's been working since this computer works. It turns out.
What? It doesn't
get a nice
sizzle?
new one. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't cook bacon. But other than that. And that's quick hits from Tyson Harley. That's me.
That's him. Okay, what he left out. What he left out is after.
Oh, hold on. Quicklet. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Supplemental hit. Kim Jab. That sounds Korean.
What he forgot to say is, so he says, I got rear-ended in reverse. And then all of a sudden there is how many more accidents within 2 days?
Oh, I forgot to say the rest of it. You're right.
I know. So you need to continue about your thing that comes in threes. So the thing was, it was 3 things in a row.
Thank you very much. I knew there was a reason we help each other out.
Well, it's because it's what I told you. I was like, dude, I don't even want to be around you in a car.
So that's on a Thursday, midday. On Saturday, my sister and I are in the house. Windows are open. It's a gorgeous day. So I have all the windows open. We're watching Netflix, but not loud. And all of a sudden we hear, and we're like, was that, how like sometimes you think Transformer, but was that, and we weren't sure, looked outside. Someone had crashed into the back of a mail van. The ones with the open doors and sides?
Right.
First thing we're thinking is, man, if those doors are open on the sides, and that guy might be laying on the ground, because that really got hit. I mean, it went about... When I first put it on social media, I said 30 foot, but as I reconsidered the like how long every vehicle is, it's a good, say 12 to 15 feet, like every vehicle is that long. And it was like 4 to 5 links at least that it pushed a stationary vehicle. And we did not hear any screeches. And I think you would have, because you know when someone brakes hard,
you would
if it's
heard
close,
it.
you hear it. You can hear that blocks away. I think the person hit that mail van without even braking, which means it was a 35 to 45 mile an hour collision.
Oh my gosh!
And you saw the pictures on social media.
It's horrible.
Though I think what happened is the middle of her bumper. First of all, I'm burying the lead here. She was fine. She had her seatbelt on. She had airbags. Her car was destroyed. It seems like she hit the back left corner of that bumper, and it's a nice, big structural bumper, and she had a V shape into her front bumper. It just went way in a really dramatic high-angle V, not like kind of a flat one.
Right.
And then you looked at his, and same thing. His was like the Audi, and hers was the innie, if you will. So you could kind of match it up and see that they probably went together. That was scary. But she was okay. I really think she was texting or something, though.
Right.
I mean, my thing is, I realized I was an ear witness, not an eyewitness.
Yeah.
As I thought about it later, because I'm like, well, we didn't hear anything. And maybe part of the reason she's okay is she didn't do any of that bracing for it.
Right.
So I bet you she is looking down at her phone.
I bet you, yeah. Something.
So hopefully she and her family, first of all, she was pregnant, but not way along. Like you'd have to ask her to even know. Like you wouldn't have looked down and said, "Oh my gosh." You might have looked down and said, "I don't think you would have." It didn't look like pregnant; it just looked like just a little extra weight. And so, if she sues the post office,
I don't.
Gosh
think so.
forbid that she would lose that kid, and then sue the post office.
Yeah,
I don't think she would.
I wouldn't think so.
And then the very day,
I got him confused. I mean, when you posted it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I was like,
there was 2 separate ones.
3.
Yeah, 3. Like you said, 2 separate ones that were close to
in one day.
So a few hours later, my sister has left. They finally cleaned up that area. Someone turns the corner into the neighborhood. There's a truck setting out front in the neighborhood street, but I'm on that corner. So I'm looking out not 1/3 of a block down the street, as they turn. But the truck's more like half a block down the street. And I hear crash. I mean, not a big crash, but enough that something got hit. And I go, are you kidding me? Because the shades were up.
Right.
And so I saw that van or that truck was going by. I saw a truck went by, and then I heard a crash. I go, surely not. And then I look out and go, but there's a big bush in the way, so I couldn't see whether that truck was damaged that was sitting there. I do see the truck going off in the distance. It has 2x4s sticking out the right side like they'd just gone to Lowe's or something. Sticking way out, and in our no attention span society right now, by the time they went from Menards or Lowe's or Home Depot, turned into the neighborhood, it's like they forgot they had 2x4s sticking out the right side, because it's not like they missed the truck.
Right.
In 2 ways, they didn't miss the truck, but I mean, would they have seen the truck? Obviously, it took off the side window, and I think I might have heard him yelling today, realizing that maybe his tailgate wasn't working right. I couldn't tell. He said something. It just absolutely wiped out his side mirror on the left side. So, yes, thank you for helping me finish that story, because I talked about 3 things in a row, and then I mentioned one, and off I go.
Yeah.
I was so ready to do this new production,
This is not... No.
That's way back.
That is not new production. That is temporary production.
New and temporary.
This is temporary.
You should
we
see
are
the
better
setup
than
we
this,
have.
Tyson. We are way better than that.
We're going to have to, yeah. I mean, anyway. So I saw when I was looking at a computer, we have a place called Micro Center over in the Metro. And they've got cool audio stuff. And one of the things I looked at where I said I took a picture, but I took the photos off my phone to transfer them to my computer, and one of them might have been that type of a thing, like a studio box, maybe with special effects, like on dedicated buttons, like you could program a certain button, and it would just be feeding right into the stereo mix, and you could just hit those various sound effects.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That's
So maybe
when we get
that's in
big
our
and better.
future.
When we get some sponsors.
Yeah, maybe that's in our future.
All right, so I just had a couple things to talk about before we get into health. First of all, reminding you, still coffee, and I got about 3 or 4 more weeks of this, so I apologize I will have to stop and like try to breathe because I have to talk and breathe. I have to think about both.
It sounded like we were going to talk about classic books there when you started. I know. I am Kim Schultz.
I know. And I
am
cannot
your adventure
breathe.
coordinator.
You're going to make me cough. You're doing that on purpose.
Masterpiece Theater with Kim Schultz. Where are our tweed jackets when we need them? You know?
Oh my gosh.
And pipes.
Focus. Okay. Anyway, so everyone knows that I love to travel. Love it, love it, love it. And so I've already been to Florida in January, thank goodness. And I have a trip at the end of May to go to Dallas. I booked another trip for July to go back to Florida because the ticket prices were so inexpensive.
Yes!
I thought. So I used my points to go. And so I booked my Florida trip was 21,000 points, which is, it's about the same. It's about the same price, a little bit lower, but the flights that I wanted were available. So I had booked that, and I was like, good deal. Get an email that says Southwest goes, your flights have been canceled, and we credited back your points. And I was like, what? So I go on, and I'm thinking, what'd they cancel? Well, my Dallas trip is still there, so I thought that was odd, because I thought that they would have canceled Dallas maybe because of the, as we know, the coronavirus is still going on, the COVID-19 vacation destroyer. But it wasn't. It was my Florida trip for July, so I thought that was kind of weird. So
yeah, it's like out of sequence because the Dallas one's first.
Well, when I went to I went and I looked up my dates, and there were all these flights to Florida, but none of them are direct flights anymore. They're all different flights. So what they've done is they've rescheduled it. So because there's not that many people flying right now, they went ahead and rescheduled. So they canceled my flights are not even there anymore. They're gone.
Now, they might possibly reschedule later. Who knows? But
Correct.
Right now, all you could do is respond to that.
So I was flying into Fort Lauderdale, which I like to go into West Palm Beach, but the last 2 times I've gone...
Is your bikini already on as you're deboarding?
Yeah.
Offboarding?
I mean, it's easier to get through security.
As you can see, I just have these 2 giant things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they belong here.
They belong on my body. Yeah. I mean, I like to dress sensibly when I fly. So,
excuse me, could you turn down the AC, please?
It's a little chilly.
Or get me some kind of a jacket because my neighboring seat is just pretty fixated right now. If you know what I mean.
Well, the cool thing about it is that my West Palm Beach, Florida, my West Palm Beach flight was now only instead of 29,000, it was almost 30,000 points to fly into West Palm Beach, getting in at midnight. The other one got me in at 6 o'clock on Fort Lauderdale. I go to the website. I'm able to go into West Palm Beach, get in at 10 o'clock at night, and I saved 6,000 points. 5,000 points. I got 5,000 points back. I was like
24?
So no, I was at 21, and it only cost me 16 or something.
Okay.
So that was cool. So then, while I was on there the other day, I went and checked everything because I got another email, and I was like, that's just really weird. So I went on there. Well, I looked at my Dallas trip, and I paid 12,000 points for my Dallas trip, okay?
Okay.
It was down to 6,000 points. It was
just out of the blue, or you
$40,
had to
$40 or $50 a way to go there. Less than $100 round trip.
So if you book it and then the retail price goes down, it automatically flips your point cost down, or you had to do it?
No, I contacted them.
Wow. So
and
you're
an
advocate for yourself. Good for you.
I want my points.
Yeah.
I said, I noticed that the points are now, instead of 6,000 each way, they're only 3,000 each way. The flight is still available. Can I cancel this flight and reschedule that? Because after this coronavirus, Kim's going to need more vacations.
Don't worry, you're going to get.
You're going to
get my business.
Email me back. it said, your flight has been canceled. Points have been returned. New flight has been booked.
Nice.
And they booked me, and I got 6,000 more points back. That's like another trip. I was like, what? So that was awesome. So then I went on to my Atlanta trip is in the end of September and October, and it's like $80 round trip.
So it makes sense. You mean, so you had to do the same thing? Or you
I hadn't booked that
yet?
one yet.
And now you have, though?
No, I have not, because I'm still waiting on to see which weekend I have to go. So I don't think that's going to go up anytime soon. I was like, dude, if you're, at this point, if you're listening to this now during the coronavirus and you want to book a flight, you better book it now.
Exactly.
Because Southwest is
it's like, what do we learn, boys and girls?
Exactly.
This is a great time to book this. But the funny thing is, someone needs to be able to look back into the past. No, in their case, it'd be look into the future, because things might change by Monday or by Tuesday when this comes up.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of rules might change on Monday for a lot of different places.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, we'll
that'll
have to
be interesting.
All right, so that was my Southwest story. I do have to tell you that I'm on season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu.
Nice.
It's getting better, but it's still a horrible show.
In a good, weird way.
In a good, like I was watching all of the cast, to kind of see, and they're like, no, we do karaoke. We have to do a lot of different things because this is such an intense show. And it's
so they try to hang out, or they just mean generally separately
on the set in between takes and stuff like that. It gets so dark and it's horrible that they actually try to do more fun things. I was looking at that stuff and
season 3, and these are about
there's
17 episodes. I'm just guessing. I have no idea.
Yeah, they're about that long.
15, 17.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know.
What did I tell you 14? That I started? Oh, were you done on that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So anyway, I started that one, but I'm watching it slowly, and it's getting a little bit better. Season 4 is supposed to be coming out at some point, but
so you're almost caught up,
right? So I'm almost caught up, and then season 4, and then I think that's the last season. I mean, I don't know how. I'm thinking I heard that was the last season. So. That's kind of what I've been kind of watching, and I started some funnier ones, just kind of going through some comedy things, and just my normal family affair.
Do you mean like Family Affair?
From 1966 with Jodie and Buffy.
What was the Urkel one called?
Oh, I don't know.
Family Matters?
Family Matters.
Okay, see, for a second I'm thinking of Urkel.
Oh, I like that one too.
Family Affair.
Right.
Now, what I tell you, I started watching, which it surprised me because I didn't know what it was about. Witcher.
Yeah,
The Witcher.
The Witcher.
And I didn't know it was like, medieval stuff. I thought it was just another one of those where it's like, yeah, devil, Satan, whatever, witches. And that's not what it is exactly. It's more of a period. I say period piece. Usually when you hear period piece, you think, oh, like Victorian, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It's so it was really cool in like the first episode that my sister and I watched. So that might be the one that I pick up.
Right.
Is Witcher. It's on Netflix.
I think when you said that, I went to my thing and I tried to watch like the first part of it, and I got distracted. So it's like,
but it did look kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it did, and I think I have to watch it. So like with The Handmaid's Tale, I watched that one. The other ones I'm on the computer and I'm on Facebook, and I just kind of let it play and I look up But The Handmaid's Tale, so I sit in my chair and I have my laptop on my lap. There's many times where, because I always am on my computer, just like checking whatever, but I'm watching it more. I'll pick it up and I'll just put it in front of the screen so I can't even see it because I'm like, I can't watch that. That's going to be that's going to not be good. Like, I can't watch you chop off a finger. I can't watch you do this stuff. I can't do it. I hear the sound, like, ah! So I'm like not watching it.
Visual. You guys missed that one.
My daughter and I did watch The Invisible Man.
Oh, you said that, and it is as freaky as it looks on the advertisement.
It is freaky.
If you remember Kevin Bacon's, it was pretty freaky too.
This one
you think, okay, Kevin Bacon, how bad can it be? And you're like, oh, he is. That's, crazy mad, not just creepy, but crazy mad.
Right.
Murdery.
Yeah. And I don't like scary ones, but I do like the suspense ones. There's a couple things in there I was like, ah! And my daughter, I'm like getting on my phone because that's what I do when it's scary parts. I can listen. And she's like this, pause.
And
I was like, what? And she's like,
it's fully.
You need to watch this, Mom. This is a very important part. And I was like this, I understand, but I don't want to watch it.
Your daughter's being the attention police.
Mm-hmm. And so then she does it to me all the time.
That's funny.
So another thing that I've been working on, and a lot of people in the future will probably have no clue what this is, but for the last couple weeks, I have been working on these payroll protection planned grants through the SBA, and they were supposed to be forgivable, and we'll talk about whether they are in future podcasts because we really don't know what's going on. But
this is a COVID-19 special program coming from that funding
for small businesses for the CARES Act. They did a CARES Act, so look up the CARES Act if this is 2024, because you'd want to look at $2.2 trillion was the first one, and then they did another $500 million added to it. By the time this is over, all over, they're going to spend over $3 trillion probably because they want to do more, giving away all this free money. We've talked about that, but this PPP grant, almost everybody that has applied for it has gotten it. All my people. I'm so happy.
But the problem is just that it's almost like a first come, first serve.
It is a first come, first serve.
You had to act now.
You had to act
now.
And the banks each have so much money and to give out and all that stuff that they take on. And
so they don't get a bigger piece of pie just because they're getting more of them approved and working faster. It's still just kind of allotted to them. They have to, from what I'm getting at, they have to take on the responsibility of all this. And like my bank has already done $300 million in the loans. So, I mean, and my bank is like 52 locations and they're in multiple states, but they're a local bank. Like they're out of Wichita. So anyway, all my people got theirs. I just applied for ours today because, I had given it to my brother. They didn't know really what we were going to do. They didn't know too much about the grant. And then today we got a call from the bank saying, give me your paperwork. So I sent them the paperwork. So I'll let you know if we get it. But about a month ago. So you're thinking, you're kind of like, man, we might be a little late. But now it's like, well, maybe we are.
I don't
maybe
think
we'll
we
be
are.
okay.
Yeah, Mondays they said we were late, and then they called him today and said we talked and we're going to do more. So ours isn't that big. Ours is one of the smaller ones because we don't really have a full-time big staff.
So there might be a little crevice of money somewhere off in the corner.
Correct.
In the analogy that would still be enough for you
They'd be
guys.
like, oh, give those poor people some.
Right.
So, but
about a month ago?
About over a month ago, there was another grant. It was the EIDL, was a disaster loan grant, and it was up to $10,000 immediately. So it was supposed to happen within like 3 days. I believe this isn't a new one. This is just, there's something out there during a disaster that you can do.
And
this was a small business.
Okay.
So with this one, I came home. So on Monday it was released. I found out about it on Tuesday. And on Wednesday when I was home, I filled out the applications.
You mean like a month ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
I filled out the applications for about 9 businesses. And that was a month ago. No big deal. So I get a phone call this week from one of those businesses, and they were like, I just got some money put into my account.
Woohoot.
And I was like, what? So then today my mom calls and was like, have you talked to the boys? And I was thinking, well, yeah, I talked to them about the PPP thing. I'm going to get it taken care of. She goes, no, there's just some kind of money in the account, and nobody knows what it's for. And I was like... I'm at the grocery store and I'm thinking, okay. So then she tells me how much it is, and I was like, and my brain instantly, I go, oh, I maybe be that EIDL grant that I did. Let me call one of the boys. So of course I called my brother and he was just like, no, we're just freaking out. We don't even know what it's about. And my mom put $7,000 in her account. Now we have $7,000 over here. It's the same amount. We don't know what's going on. And I was like, what does it say on the line? And he said SBA something. I go, that's that $10,000. You get $1,000 per employee, and we have 7 employees. So I can spend this money? Why, yes, you can. pay the bills.
So all these are guaranteed loans?
These are all free.
Are?
They're forgivable.
They're grants.
These are a forgivable loan, meaning...
So in essence, it turns into a grant if you meet the conditions.
Not this one was just it was just like, here's some money so a small business is going to help. I'm sure there was something, but we're paying our bills with it. I mean, we're not going out and partying with it. So we're going to be able to get all of our stuff paid off that didn't get paid off when we closed, so that when we get to open up again, we'll be able to order. Steven. It's just freaking awesome. It was amazing. So then my other brother calls me and goes, "Hey, I got money put in my account." And I was like, "Good for you." Then I called one of my other companies and I said, "Hey, go check your account and see if you got your money." I did. And I'm like, yay, 4 out of 9.
Nice.
Me included in that 9. No money for Kim. I did all the flipping work.
Sorry.
And maybe I'll get it tomorrow.
If not, I'm elected.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the lesson? Even if you're a libertarian like me, point is that somebody's going to get that money. And if you need to, you got to apply to get it. It's not going to just, unless it's at $1,200, then they're very nice to just throw it in our direction, whether we want it or not. They did do that. So anyway, we're going to move on to our next part of our health. Last week we talked about our exercise regimens. Oh, we had fun with that.
And we're pretty healthy.
I mean, we're not totally unhealthy.
No, we at
least put our put thought towards it.
Right.
And
we do what we can.
Yes, but no, you're not going to mistake us for Athlete X Dude on YouTube or anything.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Speak for yourself.
I was just going to say.
So one of the things that we add to our regimen is food, and I am not on any certain kind of a diet. I have done those before in the past. I've lost a lot of weight. I get down to a smaller size. I'm not a happy person. I like my lemon meringue pie. You're welcome.
Speaking of being, I don't know about nutritionally, but at least calorically replenished, when I got to Kim's place today, I got lemon meringue pie, which I probably haven't had a piece of pie in forever. Oh, North Topeka, we went to some place for breakfast.
Bradley's.
Yeah, and I had pie. I think that was maybe last time.
Well, I love that kind of stuff, and so You're
not going to go on just like restrictive diets. You're just going to...
No, I am an Herbalife person. I love my Herbalife. In fact, I just ordered like $200 more for the summer, because in the winter, I'm more like... I like a lot of oatmeal in the winter because I like hot food for breakfast. But in the summer, I'm all about my shakes. Not for weight loss, just because I enjoy my shakes. And they're yummy. I make them kind of yummy. So... I have that, and they have all my drinks, and I have some different teas and different things that I drink through that. Not because I'm on an Herbalife weight loss program. I've done that before, and I did lose 30 pounds, and I was the best shape, best size. I mean, just little. I think I was too small. But I didn't eat any fun food. I mean, I ate at dinner at night. I ate whatever I wanted. So I ate normal food. It wasn't anything, like don't have bread and don't do that. I have my bread, but I didn't have donuts for a year. There's a law against that. I love my donuts. So that's kind of why I'm not the most perfect in shape.
I think you need to call the emergency managers around the country while they're bossing people. And outlaw not having donuts.
It's
Uh-oh. Step back. Oh no. Here it comes.
That one got me.
The Kim cough bomb.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Okay. So anyway, what I found was that my brain can totally convince my body and my mouth to eat and justify every piece of crap I put in it. I was like this, you know what? I deserve it today because I had to work. I deserve this bowl of M&Ms because I had to work today. You know what? I'm going to work out tomorrow, and I worked out today, and this isn't going to be a big deal. I'm just going to eat these, and I'm not going to do it tomorrow. And the next day, I'm having this bowl of ice cream. Nobody's going to stop me. Nobody cares if I have this ice cream. I don't have to be a certain size. My brain, it comes up with it all the time.
You're worth it. women get like this empowerment thing. You know what? You work hard.
You work hard. So what I have to do is I have to use my Fitness Pal. My Fitness Pal is my...
What's his name?
Well... He's the one that taught me how to do the 2 Yetis.
Oh, boy. I don't know what's going on now.
All right. No.
Inside joke about microphones.
I gotta stop laughing. You're mean. Okay.
Boy.
So anyway, I use my Fitness Pal. My Fitness Pal just lets me log my calories. It uploads your recipes, so it's really cool. So if you have a particular recipe, you upload it, and it reads all the ingredients and matches everything.
So it can do a net plus minus for the day?
Definitely, yeah. So anyway, I put in my 1,200 calories. It's connected to my...
1,200 is all?
Hold on. I go to my Endomondo, and it's connected to my Fitness Pal. So when I walk, it'll actually add like 400 to 600 calories a day, so I can actually get 16 to 17. So on a no workout day, I'm on 1,200 calories. Okay.
How though?
You know what? You look at it and you're like this. I guess I'm not having those M&Ms tonight because I am at 1,194 calories.
Wow.
It really is just more of a psychological thing. Now, here's the thing. If I want the M&Ms, I'm going to go to 1,300 calories, 1,400 calories. But at the end of the day, you hit the thing and it goes... You know, like it says your weight is like 150, and then you hit the button, it goes, in 6 weeks, you'll be down to 142. And then you hit the 1,500 calories. In 6 weeks, you'll be up to 179. You're like, shut up, you meanie. So anyway.
You're not a pal at all.
Right. So I use my Fitness Pal. It just lets me see what I'm eating, and it makes me like... rethink
at least
things.
Consider it more.
Right. So I try to be healthier. And you can put your own recipes in there. So like I already have my oatmeal planned. I have my oatmeal with how much butter I put in it, or brown sugar, or milk, or my Herbalife shakes are in there. You just go and click on it. If I want to have cheese and crackers, I have cheese and crackers. I weigh everything out. I have a scale. I look at all that stuff because it's very important when you say I had 4 ounces of chicken or 6 ounces of chicken. Really, you're having 12 ounces, but you're just like, I think I'm going to guess at it. Looks about 4 ounces to me. Until you put it on the scale and you're like this.
Probably not very much at all.
Oh, no, it's not. So anyway, that's what I do when it comes to food. What do you do anything when it comes to food?
So I don't cook, and that's not exaggeration or a simplified language. That's not. Let's just shorten the language to get the point across. No, I do not. I don't cook.
So you don't cook.
So instead, what happens is on a work day, it's just lunch, and then I have some snacks, and sometimes I usually just go get food at the grocery store, and it's usually just like, almonds and snacks like that, RX bars when they're on sale. I don't have 3 meals a day. I don't have breakfast. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying... See, some of this is like, well, they're talking about it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's what... So the idea was the intermittent fasting for a point. And intermittent fasting is a nice idea, especially if you're going towards type 2 diabetes, because... Well, no, I say that because type 2 diabetes is lifestyle related.
Correct.
And if you can get off the habit of the carbs, your body will change the way it works as far as fuel sources.
Right.
But you have to do it. I mean, You've got to survive through it, and it's going to be hard the first few days. But after a certain period of time, you really couldn't care if you ate before noon, honestly.
Right.
And now, I didn't do the super strict intermittent fasting where it's strictly 8 hours. Actually, for a little while I did there. So the idea of that is to only eat within an 8-hour window as opposed to the usual 17 and 18-hour window that a lot of people do. And what I like about that is it gives your body a chance to process things, which I think is important. It's almost like it's giving it rest. Instead of feeding it more stuff, especially in our processed food age, instead of, and especially with the type 2 diabetes thing, where, in my opinion, they tell people the exact opposite thing because of the condition you have, which you need to try to get rid of since it's lifestyle related. And they go, well, it's been 2 hours. You better eat something more. And it better be carbohydrates. It's like, no. So to me, it sounds like I'm not being very, very nice, but I really believe, and I've read a lot of stuff on the intermittent fasting can be an important, and I have a coworker who only started like a month before this whole situation happened. Then I haven't seen her because she lives like an hour away and commutes, and so she's been doing distance working as well, and she lost like 150 pounds through a series of things, coming out of the service. Right now, you wouldn't know it. She just she just looks sleek and statuesque. You wouldn't know she had the extra weight on her, but she had just kind of gained that extra weight. And one of her strategies was that intermittent fasting, where you simply try not to eat until about lunch. And so that's one of mine that I've done for a long time. And so lunch is a lot of my food. But what I'll do, and my mistake, you're talking about you're not necessarily. I'm not in the strict 8-hour window. So if I don't eat until 1, I may eat after 10. It may not be that it's the 8 hours. It may be 10 to 12, depending on the day, or if I eat earlier. So I did do that strictly, and then it's not as strict now, but I still tend to not want to. And some people will say, but doesn't that hurt your metabolism? Maybe, but as a rule, for the idea of your body not taking the calories in, so I prefer the intermittent fasting. But one of my mistakes is I'm qualitative, probably to the detriment of my quantitative, to your point about your counting calories, because I'll eat way too many raw almonds. It's like, that's got to add up. It's good for you because it helps your body process. It's got plenty of fiber in it. So in that regard, you're probably not taking in all those calories, if you know what I mean. I mean, your body's processing it. But I don't count calories enough. I try to eat stuff that processes well. Try not to eat too much garbage. I mean, that'll go in and out as far as the cycles. He is lying.
I saw the snacks you bring to my house.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I do go in and out. But
I'm just joking.
As a general rule, I try not to have really carby stuff as far as the regular meals. So I don't have very many meals. I eat a lot of, unfortunately, those breakfast bars and that area, like nutrition bars. If you're not careful, they just become, it's like, I mean, they're really carbolicious.
Right.
If you look, and I do a lot of supplements because we're talking about food.
Yeah, we're doing food now.
I'm not carb addicted. I can tell you that. Like, a lot of times people want, they got to have their rice and their potatoes. I don't eat any of that stuff, and I don't even really prefer it.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't like a bunch of mashed potatoes, and I don't have any need for a bunch of rice or anything like that. If I were to go to some buffet, I'd want, like say it's a Chinese buffet, I'd just soon have it mostly just be the various meats. And I've leaned in the past towards paleo too.
Right.
And Atkins and stuff like that. So I know some people say that's awful for you. I get it. Now, one thing that we'll talk about nutrition-wise will be around the concerns of both vegetarian and not necessarily concerns, just be careful of this part. And then by the same token of the, paleo diets. So, yeah, my eating's pretty unstructured, honestly. And it's not very many prepared meals.
I pre-portion all my stuff.
I should say mine's pretty unstructured. My food eating is entirely unstructured. It just has some kind of rules built in, is all.
Right. Well, and so what you'll notice working from home right now is you're at home, and so you have everything there.
I do?
Well, don't you have food at your house? Oh, my goodness. You don't go to the grocery store 5 times a week, do you?
What? What? So the funny thing was when I said I moved the rooms around to make up my little area, I'm trying to move this big white cabinet, and it would be much easier to move it into the kitchen area. Except there's another big white box in there. It's really tall.
Is it
and
cold?
It's heavy. It is. It's weird. One part's colder than another. I'm like, what do I need this cold cabinet for?
I said, all right, so never mind. If you saw you can't even put food in my refrigerator. It's so full. I have so much food in this house, and my daughter and her husband come over all the time. But we've always had a lot of food, and so I go get my big thing of mixed nuts. I take my 1/4 cup. I have my little snack baggies. Put a 1/4 cup in it. I have an entire basket upstairs. It has my chips in it for my salsa and dip. So I have chips and salsa. I have my 14 or 15 chips in that little bag. They're zipped. So when I go get my salsa out of the little container and a thing of chips, and I come downstairs to my office, because if I don't, I will take the entire jar of salsa and the entire bag of chips, and I will just sit here and eat.
So we do have that. You just have a different approach. Mine is don't buy many chips.
Right.
Okay, yours is just be disciplined about how you...
I pre-package them. So anyway, that's kind of what we do with that. The next thing that I believe is important, and we've talked about it before with all of this virus stuff going on, are vitamins. So we were going to go down the list of our vitamins that we take, or our supplements that we take, and we were going to tell people why we take them. Now, just to let you know, I had to look it up because I don't know why I take these. People had told me, hey, take this, or hey, take that, for this and that.
And it's not that you weren't convinced at the time
no,
and didn't feel like all the data was in front of you.
Forever.
But yeah,
I've been taking them for 15 years. I've been taking some of these vitamins. I just kind of figured, like, why do I not? So the ones that I take are, first of all, I take a multivitamin. And I don't even know what's in that one. It's a multivitamin. When I bought it, I looked up what it was, and I was like, I like this one. And I like to buy them as big as possible, so I only have to buy them one time a year, so I have enough for the whole year.
So you go to like a special place for that?
Amazon.
Yeah, I'm not an Amazon person.
I had to buy it on Amazon because I just don't get out of the house very much. So I take my vitamin. Then I also, I have high cholesterol, and I've had high cholesterol for about 20 years. And when I was younger, the doctor always said, we're just going to watch it. Well, it's inherited because I have been as healthy. I don't eat anything bad. I did all my stuff for 2 years. Cholesterol still went up. So about 4 years ago, the doctor said, now you're to the age, plus they have different medicine we can give you. It's not going to damage you as bad, but we have to do something with this cholesterol. You've done the diet. You've done everything. And so I take a statin to do it. When I ran out of it because I didn't have my appointment, my cholesterol shot back up again, and it takes it back down. So I'm okay with that. I'm 53 and I have one medicine.
Yeah, that's
so I'm
okay.
pretty good.
That's okay.
So
it's when you just got who knows how many and you have no real idea.
Yeah, no,
of
I'm
the
doing it.
effects.
But we noticed that it was bad. So, but then I have to take the CoQ10, which actually helps with muscles, the muscle soreness. The statins kind of do muscle soreness, or my workouts. I don't know. But so I take a CoQ10, which was suggested, and it seems to work. I do take zinc. I don't take zinc every day. I'm taking one a day now. If I were to be around someone sick, like if I'm in an office and I'm working and someone comes in and they've got a cold, I'm going to go home and every 3 hours I'm going to take zinc, and I'm going to zinc myself up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I also take vitamin C. Okay. And I take fish oil. And the fish oil helps reduce heart attacks, strokes, and reduces inflammation. But as I was looking all this stuff up, it was also showing me like the bad part of it. So I only take one a day. You're supposed to take like 2 or 3 a day, one with each meal. And I even have some sitting on my table. I never remember. But I do take my one every morning. So I don't think I'm going to OD on that one. But I also take turmeric. And turmeric is commonly used for conditions like involving pain and inflammation, such as osteoarthritis. Okay. It's also used for hay fever, depression. Oh, I forgot my other one. Write that down. Hold on, B50. I forgot one. let's see here, hay fever, depression, high cholesterol, a type of liver disease, and itching. Some people use turmeric for heartburn, thinking and memory skills, inflammation, bowel disease, stress, and many others. But there's no good scientific that even supports this. Doesn't going to hurt me. It's just a spice. You put it in food. So I do take a turmeric tablet. And so I was told by someone to do that. So that's what I did. And then I also take B50. And so when I went to my psychic and I was telling her that I just don't feel right, I just wasn't doing good, she suggested that I take a B50. And so I looked into it and I was like, oh, I'm going to try it. So I was taking two in the morning and felt better. And she says, only do that for like 7 to 10 days and then just go to 1. And I did. And then I ran out of them.
You went from how many?
2 to 1.
Okay, yeah.
But then I ran out of them. And so, of course, I didn't order them and I forgot, whatever. And I could feel a difference. I could just feel just kind of like, So whether it's psychological or not, I take a B50 once a day and convince myself it makes me feel better. Psychological. But this was the weird one. So I also take a cinnamon. And I took the cinnamon because I was told that it helps crave the appetite for sugar. So you're supposed to take the cinnamon and help crave so you don't want sugar.
Okay.
And it does kind of work when you first start taking it. And now I just take it. But I was reading, it says cinnamon lowers blood sugar levels and has a powerful anti-diabetic effect. Cinnamon may cut the risk of heart disease. Cinnamon is loaded with antioxidants. Cinnamon may protect against cancer. And then I accidentally clicked on the wrong one instead of the good things, the bad things, and it was like too much cinnamon can cause liver damage. So don't take too much. And then they were talking about there's 2 different kinds of cinnamon. One is not good for you, and one is better for you.
And you said you were taking
and
which?
I'm taking the better one. So,
thumbs up.
But it wants me to take multiple capsules a day, and I only take 1. First of all, I'm not that rich. Like, I can't afford all this stuff, take multiples of everything. But
right.
I try. I think, I do what I can.
So, now what?
You.
Me? Oh, me. Oh, me. Me?
You.
Is this thing on? So, regarding all your stuff, first of all, one thing for me, I am, ever since I read a book some years ago called Earth Essentials or Essentials of Earth, and also Dead Doctors Don't Lie by Joel Wallach and The Calcium Factor by Robert Barefoot, so on and so forth. What happens is that we inherently are told that there's not much to minerals and not much to vitamins, and that's because you just can't patent them. And back then I learned the soils are depleted. Just farming over and over the same land, they get depleted. So while it's best if you can get great food sources for any of these. All of these are much more absorbable in actual food.
Right.
And if you can, but if you can't, or if you don't, because you're like me and you go, well, my diet's not that great, so let me supplement instead, and then smartly pick the supplements.
Right.
For instance, don't do calcium carbonate. That's idiotic. It just does not absorb well at all. In fact, I want to add that. So for me, the idea of what was I going to say? I'm taking a note. The idea is that a lot of people are going to hear, "Oh, well, you spend so much money on those supplements." It's like, not really. And I don't go to the doctor, and I haven't cost society squat, and I end up not, whenever I get my health checked on the rare occasion, my blood pressure's low, my heart rate's low, all that stuff, and overall I don't have too many issues. So this idea that, oh, you're wasting your money on these supplements when it's, whatever it comes to a month, $40 or something. How much does it cost again for one ambulance ride? How much is it? How much do they try to give you for one aspirin if you have to hit the hospital?
Right.
Bill you for? So I've always thought that's just the biggest load ever. So some of the things I take are a multi, but you got to remember that almost any RDA is low compared to what the entire supplement industry, some of them not as low, are informed by and will give you as a dose. For instance, the RDA for calcium is somewhere along the line, no, vitamin C, that's what I was looking at, somewhere along the lines of 60 to 90, depending on who you are. Are you pregnant female, are you adult male? Milligrams. And the supplement dosages you can get are 500 milligrams. You can get where one dose is 1,000 milligrams. So yes, I mean 1,010 1,100%, because you go 90. 1,000 divided by 90 is the high end of the RDA. So that means these companies are comfortable with their dosage and there not being a risk or sue problem, which tells you how low the RDA really is. So for me, what the problem with a multivitamin is that you're getting a lot of stuff, but you may not be getting enough of any of it. But some of it you are. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. But for some of the most important things, you're not getting enough, and you're kind of thinking, hey, I'm taking some calcium. You're not taking calcium. I mean, you're not getting enough calcium in a daily. Right. And to our point earlier, there are good dailies, there are bad dailies, and everything that are maybe whole food based. Any of these where if it's more whole food based, it's probably a little harder to get the full dosage, but that's more absorbable, right? As to absorption, what you need to do as you get older is to make sure that because we eat dead food, our food is dead. And back when it wasn't, your gut stayed more alive, right? It's the same idea why people eat yogurt and stuff, right? So you want to do something, whether it's drink kombucha or something like that, to where your gut is more alive. Otherwise, they look at 70-year-olds who are taking calcium, especially if they're taking a bad form, and take X-rays and see that they're basically passing all the calcium. And it's not because calcium doesn't work, although some of the forms are less absorbable than others, but because your stomach is not live enough, to absorb things well, let alone if you take an antacid and all that stuff. So the absorbability is important for me as far as, doing something extra so that your vitamins will be absorbed. The multis I do take, and I just kind of go pick whatever's on sale that also looks like a good brand at the local health food store. Vitamin C, my most basic is coral calcium. The reason it's the most basic is because it's not just about bone health. I mean, coral calcium adds to the alkalinity of your body. Some people have acidosis, and you probably heard where you take pH strips to understand your general health. Right. You can go look this up. You can't have a cancer. The cancer basically can't exist if your alkalinity is above a certain level. You can take too much calcium, but it's actually hard. People think that you get bone spurs. I've read, and I believe, this is just me, that a lot of times bone spurs are because what happens if you don't have enough minerals, and not just calcium, it's magnesium and it's a bunch of other things, right? But if you don't have enough minerals for your bones, it's for other processes too, like alkalinity in your body, and it will take from your bones. That's part of the reason for osteoporosis. So, and you get things like bone spurs, it's actually your body going, okay, well, this skeletal area is really weak now, so we have to give the body a signal to stop using it so much. And so a bone spur can really be like a feedback to you that you shouldn't be running and jumping on that right now. And now you could have an injury, don't get me wrong, but for me, the idea of calcium overdose is almost a non sequitur. So coral calcium for me, because it also relaxes the muscles. So a lot of times if your muscles are real tight, it's a matter of having the right minerals, kind of like the reason you take Gatorade, right? Right. But along that same lines, but you take it as a supplement. Coral, because it's a more absorbable form. To the point of whole food, it's smaller. It's not a big rock like carbonate, because it was alive. It's in the coral, and it's much smaller, if you will. The bits of it are smaller, if you just want to say it that way. And so your body absorbs it more. You can have other calcium that works well. Don't take carbonate. That's a waste. But like the citrates, right? And ideally, if you do that, as you know, you would take something that has magnesium with it. And a lot of times, a good calcium will have those other things. So I would do that, like a coral calcium and magnesium mix. And if you can take to the point of if something is in a liquid, it probably absorbs a lot better. You can take like ionic minerals, where it's just a whole bottle of minerals, and the trace elements count is kind of approximate. But on the other hand, they know that there's magnesium in it. They know what all the various minerals are. Or colloidal minerals, highly absorbable in liquid, right? So coral calcium is my big one that I basically never don't take. And then secondly, the thing that I'll take, really that's the one I take all the time along with the daily. And then I'll flip in and out. Right now, vitamin D is huge. And when we get to our excursion, which we're probably not doing tonight, vitamin D has been huge in the acute treatment of the current situation. But remember, the other reason too is that people forget coral calcium, any calcium, won't absorb, and this could be a problem with the older people too when they pass calcium. If you're first of all, you got to maximize your vitamin D receptors. If your vitamin D receptors in your body are not maximized, you do not absorb all the calcium you would have otherwise absorbed. What do we know? 2 ways to do that, right? And one way is just natural sunlight, and your body will create vitamin D, which will maximize your calcium absorption, right? Or you can take supplements with vitamin D instead. Right. So you want to do that, and it turns out that that's really humongous as well in vitamin C, which is my next thing. So I take vitamin D, and it is usually with my coral calcium. It's a part of it. Zinc is huge right now. I believe in it, and I'm taking it more, but in general, I haven't been taking it, just as a general rule, mistake or not. And let me mention, too, that sometimes you think you're taking a supplement. You might be taking, even like the pharmaceuticals. What pharmaceuticals do is they study something in nature. And then when they find something that's effective, that's why it's so crazy when they talk about how natural things can't work. What Big Pharma does is they look at things that already exist, and if they have a good effect on something, and there are studies everywhere, we're not going into them now, where something in a supplement is incredibly effective against a certain disease. Right. I mean, like, as I've said many times, 1,000 marketing ships would be set sail at that type of a study. Controlled studies at universities or other places where supplements and minerals have an incredible effect on some kind of a disease. So anyway, what they do as Big Pharma is they go look at this certain thing that's natural that they can't patent. They cannot patent. And then they try to synthesize it. Because if they synthesize it, get close, make a molecule, they can patent it. Right. But the source of their inspiration is often nature. So that we know. But the interesting thing about supplements that I probably don't use enough, but with coral calcium and all that's natural, they'll synthesize supplements. So you can get a synthesized version, and it won't necessarily be as effective. I'm not going to get into details on that because I don't know them, but just realize that that's out there, that you can get a synthesized versus a natural supplement, and that's not even that rare. Like a lot of companies will synthesize a vitamin or something like that. So be aware of that. You talked about fish oil. I believe in that entirely, but I'm all off and on with it. Right. And one of the reasons for the oils too is it omega-3 versus omega-6? Mm-hmm. So what happens is that while both are important in the natural diet, say from 150 years ago, you would have a ratio in one direction or the other. So forgive me for not remembering which, but it would be something like, 2-to-1 of one omega-3 versus the other omega-6, something like that. Say 2-to-1. You can go find this. And the thing is that one of these, even though both are good for you, one it has an inflammatory effect, and the other has a deflammatory effect. So at that ratio, it works swell. And it's not causing inflammation. No pun intended. I said swell.
And it's inflammation.
I'm just going to sit here and take that in. A lot of times I'll say, what do you say? No pun intended, but realize soon after.
Yes.
One of those things. So anyway, the ratio might be, say, 2-to-1 naturally, but now because of all our synthetic food and packaged food, it's 5-to-1 in the opposite direction. I mean, it's massively different. And so what you do to get it back in the right direction is take that other supplement. Right. And that helps. And for the same thing for vegetarians, which Like my brother-in-law right now is fiddling with vegetarian, and I wouldn't be convinced. However, I can see it. But the one concern that I would say if you're vegetarianism, good for you. I don't have any real problem with it. But you really got to work those omega ratios.
Yeah.
And you can't get that easily. Then, of course, you have to work your protein ratios. But I know most people understand that. So, yeah, the fish oils I do. Vitamin C, I don't do regularly enough. But I read that stuff a long time ago. And it's funny because right now it's in the news. A 2-time Nobel laureate named Linus Pauling. He won the Nobel twice. Do you understand this? So this guy, toward the end of his life, said vitamin C is huge, 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 huge. Or how would the president say it? Huge. I can't say it the way my nephew can do the one little Trumpian thing, but I can't do it. So Linus Pauling is his name, but he started touting the benefits of vitamin C, and then he died at about 94. So good life. But he didn't live to 120 or anything. And he done some studies, and there's even a Linus Pauling Institute. And he said, if you start to get a cold, and this would include flu, McFly. Okay. He said, we're talking about start taking 2 grams every, I don't know, start taking a gram every 2 hours or something like that. Until you got to poop. I don't know if that's explicit or not, but and up to bowel tolerance. Because that's the only real issue. If you supplement with vitamin C, all it is gonna give you diarrhea or something close to that. But he said basically you keep doing it, and that's what will knock down whatever it is, the illness.
Right.
And I think specifically flu, but I can't remember if it was common cold or flu or if it worked for both.
Right.
It was very funny because then people are like, yeah, well, he didn't know it. He was smart, but he didn't have it. He didn't have a clue. And then we now have people, the minutia of this whole situation with coronavirus is just plastered everywhere. So if you want to look, you can find it. And some people are poo-pooing it just like that.
They're poo-pooing, so they're taking the vitamin C?
Yeah. So they're poo-pooing the supplementation that would make them go poo-poo. Good one!
Sorry.
Hi, Elbow.
Boom.
So they're taking the vitamin C. See, that was an attention check, and she passed with flying colors. Brown. Anyway, so we're talking about all the minutia of the treatment, and people are desperate, and they're trying regimens, and what's cheap? What's cheap? Vitamins.
C, yeah. Vitamins.
So, like in Shanghai, you can find where a doctor's Zhang or a Shang. Anyway, you can find where an American doctor was visiting. It was all in, okay, how do we deal with this? And they did massive vitamin C regimen to great effect. And I'm talking, so the general vitamin C should be maybe 1-2 grams a day as just a maintenance dose. Just probably 1 gram's enough. Because remember, I told you the RDA is only like 90. And it's 1 gram is a lot. I would probably take 2. But it would depend. I don't know if there are medicine like interactions with vitamin C, because some medicines are really weird.
Right.
And even though it's naturally very good, medicines are really weird, right? So, but they're taking like up to a dozen or more grams in a day intravenously. So they didn't have the bowel issue because it doesn't go through your bowels if you're taking it intravenously. So it's big for treatment. I would recommend vitamin C. I mean, I'm not a doctor, McFly.
Yeah,
you can tell because I'm not calling myself a doctor. But look up the information and don't believe the first thing that comes up that says, yeah, this stuff don't do you any good. You're wasting your money. Okay, well.
Well, like when I went and looked up my cinnamon, the first thing it said was cinnamon will cause liver damage. Cinnamon will be this. I'm like, what the crap am I taking? Why am I taking cinnamon?
So you had to go
and
find
then
something
I realized,
less,
I'm looking at because there's always reverse effects of everything. Right. I mean, so you'd be like,
as if pharmaceutical drugs don't have massive side effects.
Correct.
Like, are you feeling depressed? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, you might feel suicidal. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And you might bleed out of places you're not supposed to bleed, but that's okay. Right. Just take it.
So for me, that's about it. I don't take vitamin B as a rule. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but at any given time, you've been convinced of about a dozen things that would be good to take. That doesn't mean you're taking all dozen all the time, right?
Yeah.
So right now, my regimen is more than usual, but it's not that. Now, one thing I want to say for inflammatory, I don't take turmeric. I think I've put it, like I'll buy them here and there, and then I'll take them, and then I don't necessarily keep it as a habit. I'm not convinced by, I will, part of also maybe might be that essential fatty acid, coconut oil. Coconut oil, take a tablespoon a day.
Yeah, I've
And
heard
that can work as an energy thing. And also there's something called, oh my gosh, it's the refinement of the coconut oil. What is the name of the MCT oil? And what happens is the energy goes right. It sounds bad because whenever you hear something about your liver, you think it's bad. But it gets absorbed in a way into your liver where it's more like automatic energy, even though it's not a high glycemic thing because it's oil. So you can take MCT oil. Coconut oil is good. I'll get on in regimens where I swish it in my mouth for 20 minutes a day because it's good for your mouth health. And if it's good for your mouth health, a lot of weird stuff can happen in your mouth, and sickness can come in through there. So that's really good. You just only take a little bit and just swish it for 10 to 20 minutes a day, spit it out, and then rinse your mouth out.
Did you ever do apple cider vinegar?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Because like that used to be big a few years ago when people were getting sick. They were saying, no, you have to drink. That stuff is nasty.
I do right now, or I've done where I'll do aloe vera, a little bit of aloe vera.
I do aloe in those drinks from Herbalife. I have the 2 aloes, mandarin and mango.
I'll take a tablespoon. No, it's like maybe it's not a tablespoon. It's like an ounce of acai berry. Mm-hmm. It's an ounce of
what about elderberry?
Goji, and then 2 other things. So just where you can go get these kind of like quart-size bottles, and you only take like an ounce of each one of these a day and put it in like, anyway, they're kind of like superfoods. Mm-hmm. Acai berry, goji berry, mangosteen. And those are like, each of those is only like an ounce or 2, but I put it in more like, I don't know, something like 10 ounces of aloe vera juice. So it's just kind of a superfood mix. Other thing for your inflammatory, is probably all I have, is that I ground. I've said this before. You can go look it up in thermographic studies where someone has bad inflammation in their knee, let's say. That shows up because inflammation draws heat, or it's hot.
Right.
So you can see it on the thermograph, right? And so what all grounding is, it sounds crazy, but it's miraculous and it's free. So this idea, you're spending so much, you don't have to spend any. Right. It's putting your feet on the earth.
Right.
I can't explain it. I mean, people try to explain it, but it has been proven, and you're not going to see anybody throw millions of dollars in marketing on it. No. I don't care. Thermographically, it's been proven, and otherwise, including some studies. So what you do is just put your feet on the ground for 20 minutes a day, and it reduces inflammation, and it can be proven by I don't know why. I don't know how. The other thing it helps is, what do you call the daily cycle of just how the biological clock.
Your metabolism.
Well, it's a biological clock, but because you can think of it this way, this might be why it helps with your body to go to bed at the right time of night and get up in the morning, so you're back on that regular biological clock instead of our blue light computer world. And the reasoning is something to this effect. There's a certain amount of energy that the sun is piping into the ground in a certain cycle every day. Right, if that makes sense.
Right.
And because that's a certain daily cycle, then you grounding. And if you have a really acute thing, you should just ground as much as you possibly can. You don't have to ground. You don't have to move. I mean, if you want to go barefoot walking, you can. But walking on wet ground is even better because it's more conductive. Right. Or you can just go sit on your porch on a concrete step. And not a asphalt, because asphalt is not conductive.
Right.
So it has to be something that's conductive. You can also go to like earthing.com or grounding.com or something like that and get some things where if you have a wire that's the third plug on the wall, it's kind of a substitute. Now, the third little circular hole on the wall plugs is the ground, right?
Right.
And so it's not perfect earth ground, if you will, but it's better than nothing. And so you just take one of these little circuit checkers. You can buy them for $5 anywhere, and they just plug into your wall, and it'll light up a certain way if it's grounded. And you can say, okay, that one works. And you can go to one of these stores, and you get this little deal that fits into only that circular hole. And so if you check that, first of all, there should never be any electricity on it, but there could be. But if there was, you stick it in as soon as you touch the other end, you'd know. It's kind of like putting your light. So you're not going to accidentally ground yourself and then electrocute, because as soon as you touch the thing, you'd understand. So the wire goes from there to some kind of like I've got orange straps. Looks like I'm on probation or something. And you put it on your ankles, and it just clips on, and then a little metal part is touching. And I'll tell you what, first time you do that, if you've been too... It's almost like static builds up on you. And if you do it for like 5 minutes, if you've had too much of this, you can, like, your eyelids will start fluttering. It's like you're rebalancing. This sounds like hocus pocus, but actually, there's another little... Like I said, the thermograph, I'm pretty scientific minded. So the thermographic studies are nothing short of remarkable. Some of them will be inflammation decreasing, going from a white thermographic super hot area to less than that in 20 minutes.
Right.
It'll just be before and after 20 minutes, same person. And it'll show all this red and white super hot areas. So other people with more chronic stuff, it'll be that, hey, they grounded 20 minutes a day for 30 days. This is a before and after.
Right.
But another thing you can do is, like, if you put your hand towards that light over there right now the really, really high stuff like what's on your wireless doesn't do this, but if you put your hand toward there and you had one of these little meters have you ever seen the little thing you get at the hardware store so that you can find where your wires are in the wall?
Yep.
And it goes, and it just has a little light on it. It's only about the size of a pencil. You can even put it in your pocket. It's got the little pocket clip. And it'll light up, go, and it can help you find where in your walls the wires are. Well, you can hold your hand hold it near, say, a lamp, and you'll see that goes. So all this stuff is giving off a field nearby it of electromagnetic. We kind of think it's more shielded than it is,
right?
But it's actually we're towards all kinds of them. You can see the source, and you can do it in experiment. I've done it with a good meter that I have at home, an electrical meter, where you can be near the thing and either grounded or not. So you're ready to be grounded. Say it's the little thing that would ground you is on the floor. It's connected to the wall, but you're not touching it with your foot. And you can be having your hand up there near this thing that is giving off a certain amount of stuff, and then just put your foot on the pad that grounds you, and you'll see the voltage just disappear off of you. You got voltage on you. Isn't that the weird thing? So somehow this voltage builds up in a static situation, and it screws with your body.
Right.
And this is part of the reason I'm worried about 5G, because grounding doesn't even do any good it can't really help these really high frequencies and whatever it puts on our body.
Exactly.
But anyway, so the grounding is a big inflammation, and again, it's a free, because you don't have to buy any of that stuff, and even if you do, it lasts for years. It's like $30 for a cable, and how much would you go for an inflammatory problem to the doctor for even one visit?
And we're going to talk, on our next episode, we're going to talk more about that kind of stuff, though. Because that's going to be that's the mental part.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were splitting into 3.
Yeah, because we still have the mental part. It's been an hour and a half, so we have to...
It's so huge. It's so huge to me because it's another free scenario that no one's going to talk about, because Big Pharma can't make any money off of it. And they'll say, there's no such thing. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. There are books about studies that show thermographic before and after, and you can literally test it yourself.
Well, and you don't even, so we'll get ready. Literally. I hear that word everywhere. Like, everybody keeps talking, especially during this coronavirus, they're always like, literally, it's going to do this. And I'm like, take a shot.
That's right. The literally shot. Oh, man. We would all be so drunk.
So when I go into a lot of different stores, the energy off the lights make my eyes go crazy. Like, I can't stay in certain stores. Like, I'll be at a mall and we'll go into some stores and my eyes just start to twitch because of the lighting, I believe. And I have to go back out into the mall because I'm like, I can't do this store. Walmart is bad. I don't know if it's the whatever lights, but there's so much power around us. We're going to talk about that next week.
And I think some of it might get into the idea of, some people will say getting just out in nature is good for you. It might be just because you're getting a little bit of a less dose. You're getting away from all the usual stuff, the fields that are around you.
Yeah. Exactly, because that can stop your creativity as well. So anyway, we're going to stop there so we don't go past our hour and a half.
Good job
We
walking
tried it.
for 6 miles, people.
Thank you.
Or running for 11.
That's right. All right, guys, thank you so much for giving us your time. And we appreciate our listeners. And we're excited that our show keeps growing and growing and it keeps going on. Make sure you comment on our Facebook group, Chemology 411. And if you haven't joined yet, you probably should. Thank you, Tyson, for helping make Chemology 411 so awesome.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey, almost fist bump.
Almost. We'll talk to everyone soon and make sure to keep taking all of your adventures. Bye-bye.